Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Very quickly to introduce Svenska. So we're basically a boutique chain of hotels from Sweden. We are truly boutique because we will never do hotels above 100 rooms. So it is really the whole USP is around small, personalized, and though technology can help a lot in personalization, we still believe that people are needed for personalization. That's why it's called personalization, right? So we do these small format, trendy, chic hotels, and very strong focus on food and beverage. Currently, 2 hotels operational, another 8 under development, and our vision is in the next 4 years to have to get to about 20 hotels operational in India. Got good recognitions in the market. I'm going to skip through that. TripAdvisor, Guardian, the UK, Forbes Travel Guide. So the concept has been well taken. It's a relatively new concept because in India, typically when you talk about upscale or luxury, it's usually the large format, 5 stars and the deluxe hotels. And we've tried to say that small can be beautiful as well. So the customer response has been pretty good. Now let's shift the focus to these new e-commerce hospitality players. So who are they? They're basically technology-driven. So you're seeing technology enter into all spheres of life. There's now food tech, and hotels are seeing its own fair share. Basically, platforms for providing customers with otherwise inaccessible rooms, hostels, lodges, apartments, and they are basically trying to connect customers with the suppliers of these places who would otherwise find it prohibitively expensive to reach out to those customers. So the model being followed in India right now is, it's a little bit borrowed from the Western world with the Airbnb example, but it's really sign up with individual or independent properties, help bring them online, commit to some incremental business from them, for them, standardize the basic offering, brand that property, expand that network rapidly so that brand which you're putting there is then known and recognized, and customers, when they're thinking about where to book, they have your app available where they can go and access these properties then, and offer low prices initially to the customers to drive volumes, and then bet on customers eventually getting used to those platforms so that you can continue getting business from them, even after now you've started moving to more reasonable pricing or more realistic pricing. So there is a big squeeze happening in hospitality today. I think a lot of players have realized it. A lot of them are like ostriches right now, where I can bury my head in the sand and not realize what is really happening to the industry. But these e-commerce players, most of them are well-funded. Their focus is right now not on short-term profits, but on valuations. The KPIs which they run on, so a typical traditional hotel would run on, these are my guest service KPIs and guest satisfaction and operational efficiency and financial performance, which will be profitability, GOP, revenue growth, all of that. Their KPIs are how many apps are getting downloaded, what's the scale of my supplier network, and the GMV term, which is now being, gross merchandise value or gross transaction value. So how much business am I doing and that's really setting the pace for how valuable I am. I have to figure this out. And the equation is really impossible. If you look at it from a traditional hotel perspective, sale price is often less than cost price. Operating losses are sometimes greater than the revenues which some of these players are doing. So, how do you compete with something like that? And it's really hospitality upside down. So your high capex business with high operating expenses is now being converted into a low capex and low opex business. So how fast can you take your hotel online? You sit across the table, sign the deal, and you've got an additional hotel added on. And that's what's really resulted in a total proliferation of how many of these hotels are getting signed off. And the main thing is unbranded to branded. And that's where, these are some of the players which have, Airbnb globally is an example, but in India we've had the Oyo and Zo and Stayzilla, I am not sure if all of them would survive after the inevitable meltdown, which is going to happen, but I'm sure there will be definitely survivors out of these and who will grow on to become very large companies as well. So what are the USPs? So the aggregators really are, the main USP is I'm converting an unbranded product into a branded product. So I'm guaranteeing some basics like internet, linen, clean linen, breakfast, air conditioning in some cases, bringing these fragmented inventories online. So otherwise I would not have been able to access these places because I don't know about them, especially if I'm traveling to a new city. But now I know, okay, if I go to an Oyo or I go to a Zorum and I'm traveling to this area, they'll probably have something on offer for me. And then offer a wide range of choice, which is where they rush to sign up suppliers, to sign up hotels to become a part of the network. Another big USP, quick and efficient bookings. Often there are no cancellation charges. You just book and pay at a hotel. It normally would take 2 to 4 clicks to actually have a hotel booked for you. And then there is supported by 24/7 customer care. So if there's any issue, you just call up the call center and they'll be there too. And the big USP right now is basically discounting, because all of them currently are discounting heavily and everyone loves a good deal, especially in our country here. So this is a controversial slide because I think who are these players impacting? And my proposition is that the people who are largely, if they're not getting impacted today, I think they will get impacted tomorrow. And this is really the economy and the budget segment in the country. So typically some of these brands, which are the economy brands, would have, the USP has been, I can provide a clean room in a location close to where your place of work is, and the basic services like internet and air conditioning would be there. And if you see the Indian market, a huge chunk of it is still fragmented. The branded players are comprising typically less than 20% of the market. These players brought in the USP of, I am able to provide you a service where you can get a consistent standard of service. Now, once the e-commerce, the consolidators, aggregators are coming in, they're bringing that unfragmented, unbranded segment into a branded marketplace. Now, who are you competing with? Effectively, these players. Now, again, that argument can go on and on about, how much are they really competing against them, but long-term, once an Oyo or a Zo or a Stayzilla or some of these brands become well-known brands, they might even exceed the brand recognition of some of these existing players. However, the aggregators have vulnerabilities as well, and this is what, if I was working for a Keys or an Ibis, this is what my proposition would be. Consistency in guest service and the guest experience. Here you're signing up hotels at top speed, and again, a classic example is Oyo was barely, I think, 200 rooms at the beginning of this or last year, and now there are 2,500 hotels signed up. So consistency in guest service. When you don't have control over the hotel, someone else is running it. How do you ensure that the day-to-day operations run smoothly? How do you ensure that the guest safety and security is taken care of? In a lot of hotels, a lot of illegal stuff gets done. There's gambling, there is all kinds of things. And how do you control that? Which, a brand will obviously, who's in control of the operations of that hotel will be able to manage. How do you retain your good properties? Because right now I see these people signing up hotels left, right, and center. And I think there's a panel discussion later today, so we'll hear from them. But these are short-term contracts. There is exit like at a drop of a hat. So I'm signing up today. You're giving me business. Tomorrow someone else offers me a better deal. I'm going to go and go to them. How do you retain customers? Will they return to you once you stop your discounting and once your selling price becomes higher than the cost price? And then survival, because a lot of them need funds to actually survive, and because there's a constant burn which is happening in that business when you're selling at lower. And the Airbnb example globally, and that's used as the parameter where they've changed the dynamics, but they really got apartments and individual owners on board, and it's a little bit of a different value proposition. But today they're the largest hotel chain in the world. Started in 2008, presence across 34,000 countries, cities, 192 countries, over 1 million listings. And today they are valued at higher than the 90-year-old Marriott chain with 4,000 hotels and 200,000 employees. So, there's something little bit happening in this world, and what's the secret really? It's understanding the power that the world is becoming hyper-connected, creating a trust platform where people say, okay, I can get some good good rooms through them at a good value price, and converting highly fragmented players into formidable force. So ownership of physical asset now is becoming a liability, and they say, we'll just own our reputation. So that's the intangible kind of source which they have. So that's the new business model. Currently, the race is on who can be the biggest, who can survive the shakeout which is going to happen. And there's a tremendous scale benefit which is happening in this, because what happens is, in the network effect, the more suppliers you've signed on, there's more choice you're able to offer to your customers who are coming to your app or to your website. And the more customers who come there then have more choice available, so that becomes a more recognized brand. And the more recognized the brand is, the more customers come to you. So it's really a virtuous circle. And that's why the rush is really right now, acquire the customers, acquire the suppliers, no matter what the cost is. Eventually you'll ride through that. And then you've created a brand, and you've created enough momentum in the market so that you can retain that position. So that's the business model. And longer term, I'm sure every business has to focus on profitability, but it's a longer term focus. It's not about the quarterly or the annual profits. It's what I can get in the future. So longer term, I think the hope is that upon consolidation, you can squeeze your suppliers, you can command better rates from customers, and you can reduce your cash burn. And actually, the end game might be very different. So as a hotel, we are trying to always see, how much, what price are we selling the rooms, what is our cost of operations, and try and make a margin out of that. These guys actually might never want to make money from selling hotels. So every hotel room they might sell might actually be at a loss, but once you are a recognized brand, your advertising revenue. So it's really a total upside down of the industry. So you might be a hospitality platform where airlines would want to advertise with you, where car rental companies, where hotels might want to advertise with you. You're making your money from them. You sell rooms at a lower price than your cost of acquisition, and you're still a fantastic business. That's the Amazon model. That's the Uber model. That's where I think the end game of a lot of these players are. So how do you survive this? And how do you come out of this revenue squeeze which is happening because of these players? First and foremost, differentiation. You have to offer a product or a service which these folks are not able to offer. They're focused on rooms. You have to be focused on things beyond just rooms. So rooms, obviously, in a hotel, that's the most critical part. But can you elevate your service orientation or a service offering to a level where these people are not able to compete with you? Leverage food and beverage. I think that can be a great USP. Most of these folks have no clue. They don't care. They don't have any idea about how to provide a F&B service. So if you have a great restaurant or a great bar or good banqueting facilities, that's where you can stand up and say, this is what you get at my property versus if you go and book online with one of the aggregators. Safety and security, attack at the weak points. That's something which they're not able to guarantee. They don't have the control over the end product and the end service being delivered. You can do that. And I would say, sometimes join the party. Why not make hay when the sun is shining? Leverage those aggregators as an additional sales channel, and let them provide some business to you. So overall, I think the upper upscale segment is definitely well positioned because the brands are strong, and you have the Indian 5 stars, you have the multinationals, you've got some of the newer entrants into our country. Strong brands, loyal customers, well-defined USPs, targeting a customer profile which is fairly different from what the aggregators model are doing. And that's why I feel the revenue squeeze is not really going to be in that space. And the latest trends now. So again, how do you kind of get to the next level of providing that USP, the differentiation? And that's where I think a lot of the designer hotels are doing, where they're taking hospitality to a different level of experience, which is personalized based on a level of personalization which a larger format 5-star hotel might not be able to deliver. Individual, intimate, lifestyle orientation, combine some fine arts, fashion, music, art, theater. W does a fantastic job. They have art on their walls which are available for sale. They do fashion shows. That's the kind of stuff which you can do to really stand out from, a lot of these, to survive that revenue kind of a squeeze which is happening. So overall, these hotels tend to be, you're inspirational, you're aspirational, I want to stay in these properties, and gourmet destinations, like I said. So I'm actually going to now just wrap up now because I think I'm running out of my time. But USPs of designer hotels are really about really taking that experience to a level which an aggregator or a consolidator cannot really manage. So in summary, technology is definitely changing the dynamics of the hospitality industry. The aggregators and the consolidators are having an enormous impact, and I think what you've seen is just scratching the surface, so there's much more to come, and we'll see how that evolves. And I believe that the budget and the economy segments today face the biggest challenges. So if you're in that space, you really got to be worried and thinking about how do I compete and how do I kind of make sure that people continue coming to me rather than to a more discounted offering which is out there in the market. And how do you compete with players who don't operate on conventional business metrics? It's really changing the whole dynamics, changing the game, and it's not easy to kind of compete in that kind of a scenario. Differentiation is really the key, like I was saying. Fight commoditization with F&B, with other value-added services. Attack the weak spots, consistency of service delivery, safety and security, or join the party, like I said. But overall, I think the upscale hotels probably are much better positioned. Thank you so much.